Paleo Cooking Live. I'm Tina Wells from Living Delicia Nutrish, and welcome to my kitchen. As you can see today, I am all about the tiger blood. Our Whole30 group is doing so well. We're more than halfway, and we are feeling the energy, and it's so exciting. And it's a special day, so I wanted to share with you some special breakfasts. All Whole30 is so many eggs. We eat so many eggs for breakfast. We eat hard-boiled eggs for snacks. So today I thought I would share some unique ingredients and some fun ways to do breakfast that doesn't include eggs. Of course, you can always put an egg on top if you prefer, but let's see what we can do without some eggs. The first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about yuca. Yuca is one of my favorite vegetables. It's unusual. Of course, here in Florida, we have access to so many unique international ingredients, and yuca is one of those things that is great, a great thing from the Hispanic community. I love it. I buy it frozen. It's already peeled and ready to go in a bag. You get giant pieces that look like this that are frozen. And then I just put them into salted water and boil them until they're fork tender. And I just keep them stored in an airtight container until I'm ready to take them the rest of the way. So it's almost like having boiled potatoes. They're very starchy. And because yuca is a root, there's a strand of root that goes through the center. So I just like to cut it in half and make sure that that's removed. And you can see right here, it just breaks right where that is, and I can take it right out. You don't want to eat that. I mean, it doesn't hurt you. It's just the texture's not preferable. So I have my pan here preheating, and I'm going to add a little bit of coconut oil. And what we're going to make today is a yuca hash with chorizo sausage. And I'm going to make it like a sausage gravy. So first I'm just going to cut up this yuca into some bite-sized chunks so it resembles a hash. I'm almost using the wrong knife for this, but it still works. And this would be enough for one person, I would think, but just gauge your portion size on what you like to eat. You know, we recently had a conversation about how many carbs are too many carbs. And, you know, it just depends on the individual. If you have a very active lifestyle, you work out a lot, you have a job that requires a lot of physical activity, you're probably going to want more carbs. If you have an office job or you're sitting a lot or you don't exercise very frequently, you probably won't eat as many carbs. So it's really up to the individual person and what you can tolerate. And that's what we learn in Whole30 is so much about what we can tolerate. So I'm just going to add this yuca to the pan where the oil is heating. And all we want to do, since it's already cooked, is just get a nice toasty color and warm it up. And this breakfast is all going to happen in the same pan. I'm going to turn this heat up a little bit because I really want to get the outsides crispy. Another wonderful thing you can do with this yuca is after you split it into those pieces and remove the root part is fries. You could just cut it into fry shapes, toss it in some oil of your choice in a bowl, and then lay it out on a sheet pan and make oven fries. They're absolutely delicious. And it's a fun alternative to potato fries. We have a lot of Latin American restaurants here in Central Florida, and yuca fries are always one of my favorite things to order. So they're fun to make at home. While that's browning, I want to show you this chorizo sausage. This is chorizo from the meat case at Whole Foods. It's where I prefer to buy it. You can get any raw chorizo sausage that you like. This is fresh and it's in the casing. So I just like to slice it down the center so I can remove it from the casing. And that's very simple. And that's going to go right into that pan. I'll wash my hands real quick. I have my new tracking device today, so you get to see my whole setup because it's going to follow me around the room. And you can see I've got lots of potatoes and fruits and things here today to share with you. Let's take a look at this yuca. It's going to need a little more color. I almost like it to be soft to the point where you can smash it with a fork. And then when you mix the sausage in, it has a nice hash consistency, just like you would have with a potato hash. So I'm going to keep going while that's doing its thing and talk to you about something that I've mentioned before, and they're alternatives to sweet potatoes. This is a Hannah sweet potato. You've heard me talk about these a million times. Evidently, they're not very accessible in some parts of the country. Some of my Whole30ers are having a little trouble getting their hands on them. So this is a great option to the Hannah potato. This is a Japanese purple potato, and it is a sweet potato, so it's not considered a nightshade. And the inside is white, not orange. Now, if you prefer orange potatoes, you can certainly do that. I wanted you to see the inside of that. It's white. So it's going to have a very waxy consistency, and it's going to perform a little more like a regular potato that you're accustomed to, more than it would a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are fine. Sometimes the consistency can get a little soft when they're cooked. This yuca is starting to brown now. It's looking really good. Can you see that? Getting some pretty golden color. Just going to throw it back in because that's going to be my lunch. I'm having breakfast for lunch. And they're getting nice and toasty and golden, so they'll be a little crispy on the outside and tender in the centers. And as I said, if you want to take a fork and mash them down a little more, just take a regular fork and squish them a little bit. You can see that just kind of, you see how soft they are. And then you'll have that crispy texture with the little bit of softness in the center. All right, that looks really good. So I'm just going to put that on my plate. And the sausage has enough fat in it on its own, so I can put the sausage right into this pan without any additional oil. And then I just like to use the same fork and start crumbling the sausage in the pan before it starts to brown and hold its shape, because I want this to be more like a ground meat mixture. And there are some nice pieces of healthy pork fat in here, and the spices smell amazing. I love how it's already seasoned and it's ready to go. And this particular chorizo contains no sugar or any other ingredients that would not be compatible with your Whole30. And this is just a fun breakfast to have anytime. It doesn't have to be only Whole30. We're finding healthy alternatives that we can eat all the time. That's what makes Whole30 so sustainable. Turn this up just a little more. I've talked to you about my induction burner before. It's a magnetic cooking process, and it only works with pans that are magnetic. And you can see how fast this is. This meat is almost done already. Now, you know, when I made traditional sausage gravy for my kids and put it over homemade biscuits and all of that good stuff back before I became paleo, I would just sprinkle this with some flour and add some half and half or heavy cream to the ground sausage that I was cooking. Excuse me. Typically some kind of a breakfast sausage that probably had a ton of sugar and all sorts of unhealthy ingredients. I've really cleaned up my act. So this is perfectly browned and crumbled. And now instead of that flour addition that I used to do, I'm going to sprinkle 1 tablespoon of arrowroot starch over this whole thing. Just sprinkle it around. So that one link of chorizo is about 5 ounces. I think that's a nice portion for a protein. And now I'm just stirring this around to make sure that it's all incorporated and doesn't look dusty anymore. And now I'm going to add a half a cup of coconut milk. Coconut milk is such a great replacement for dairy. It's healthy. It's a fabulous, healthy fat. And it really performs just like heavy cream. So I'm just going to stir that around, and it's immediately going to start thickening from the arrowroot flour. I'm just going to let that reduce a little bit and get thick. And this is just the most delicious spicy gravy. You can top this with a little cilantro. And as I said, you could put an egg on top if you like an egg, any style. I love steamed eggs. And it just smells so good in here from those spices. And it's gotten nice and thick now. Just going to give it another couple seconds. The thing about arrowroot flour is you don't want to take it too far, because then it'll lose its thickening power and it'll just fall apart. So this is done. Is that delicious? And I'm just going to pour this gravy right over that yuca hash. And there is yuca with sausage gravy, chorizo sausage. You can make it with any sausage you like. Feel free to change it up. Make it with potatoes if you can't find yuca. But give these other ingredients a try and see how you like them. I'm going to put these in the sink and we'll move on to the next recipe. So next for you, sorry, I have to clean up my mess, you know. I'm messy, but I'm also OCD. My next recipe is the potatoes that I was speaking of earlier, but we're going to make sweet potato toast. So I took those potatoes and I sliced them with a knife about 1/4 inch thick. This is tricky. They're very hard to go through. I'll show you real quick what I mean. You don't want to take your hand off. The small piece is easy. It's the bigger pieces that are hard. So you want to make sure that you've got your fingers back, knuckles forward, and your thumb holding that potato in place. And then move your knife back to about 1/4 inch thick. Kind of push it in there so that it digs in a little bit. And then you have to pound it, and you have to make sure that it's going vertical to your cutting board or you won't get an even slice. So let's see how I do. And there we have a nice even slice, pretty much even all the way around. If it's not even, don't worry about it. I'll show you a couple that aren't. So I just got these out of the oven and they're nice and warm. I brushed each one with a little bit of olive oil and I toasted them and I flipped them over about halfway through cooking. You can do these in the oven on 375 degrees for about 10 minutes each side, but of course that'll vary depending on your oven and how thick your slices are. You want them to feel a little soft in the middle and have that nice crust on the outside. You can make these in advance, prep a bunch of them, throw them in the toaster when you're ready to reheat them, and they're delicious. And you can top them with anything. So let me show you a couple of options. I have a sweet option and a savory option. One of the things that we really try to incorporate with Whole30 is eating breakfast that we're accustomed to, but also trying some new things, of course. But a lot of people like fruit for breakfast. So here's a way to have something that's fruity and also incorporate some protein. This is cashew butter. I buy it from Trader Joe's. It's delicious on sweet potatoes. I also have nutso butter. This has 7 different kinds of nuts. It doesn't have the Whole30 logo, but it is Whole30 compatible. You can use almond butter, any nut butter that you like. I always have to give it a little stir before I put it on, and I'm going to do about a tablespoon right on top, and that makes a nice glue for all of the fruit that I'm going to stack up on here. And again, this is carbs, so we want to watch our carb intake if that's something that's important to you. Just going to add some banana. And I love to slice my vegetables and fruits on a bias. They're prettier, and you get more fruit surface area. I'm just going to stack up a few banana slices. And this is why I like to eat my fruit rather than drinking it. This is so much better than a smoothie. Who wants to drink their fruit? Let's eat it. I've got some delicious strawberries here. I just had these cut up with fruit berry cups last night after dinner. Just stick those right into that almond butter on top of those slices. Some blueberries. You can top this with more crushed nuts. I've got blackberries here, raspberries. Isn't that beautiful? Who would want to eat that for breakfast? The other option is something savory. Let me show you a couple savory ingredients. And this is just how I store things. I have these industrial commercial containers. This is Instant Pot shredded chicken. You know how I make this on a regular basis. And here's some guacamole. I just keep guacamole in the fridge so I can throw it on top of my bowls. Stuff over stuff is the name of the game with Whole30. Just going to spread a nice, generous amount on that warm slice of potato. I could top this with an egg again if I wanted, but I'm just going to put some shredded chicken right on top. Because we're not thinking about breakfast, even though these are technically breakfast recipes. We're thinking about meal 1, 2, and 3. And when you think about breakfast as meal 1, it opens up all kinds of possibilities. So don't think about it as a traditional breakfast. Think about it as something that you would eat any other time of day. And there's the toast with avocado, guacamole, and some shredded chicken. That's a delicious breakfast. It's got protein, some fabulous healthy fats with the avocado, and a little bit of carb with the potatoes. The last thing I want to show you is my tostones hash browns. So give me a minute to put some of these things away, and I'll be right back so we can talk about that. And I also want to see who might be here today, if anyone's here. How's everybody doing? I see my friend Susie from high school is here. Hi, Susie. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. So plantains are from the banana family. I love plantains. They kind of taste like banana, but they're a little starchier. They have a delicious quality, and they're one of the few fruits or vegetables that you can eat ripe or unripe. This is unripe, obviously, very green. Most people go to the grocery store and don't buy the proper banana or plantain because it really is just unripe, but it's the starchiest and best way to do this. Sorry, having a little technical difficulty with my ear. If you buy them green or almost black, they look like a very, very ripe banana, and they're very soft and starchy inside. Those kind of plantains, the ripe plantains, are the ones that you would put the whole thing in the oven and roast, and then when you crack open the skin, it's a nice, soft, roasted banana flavor. If you ever go to a Latin American restaurant, you'll find that they serve both tostones and maduros, which are also plantains. the trickiest thing with these guys is peeling them. So what I like to do is wherever there's a crease or a bend or a fold, I just run my knife down that edge to score it. And I'll go all the way around and the skin will crack right off to reveal this amazing flesh. Just gonna go all the way around and do that. So here's the thing. Maybe I should have been Cuban. I love tostones. I think they're fabulous, but tostones are twice fried. A traditional tostone is basically a patty made from these green plantains. You slice this into discs, you drop them into hot oil. I like to use coconut oil. And then you take them out of the oil once they're cooked. You smash them, typically with a glass, like the bottom of a drinking glass, and then you put them back into the oil to fry again. I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. I appreciate the people who stick to the traditions, but I have found another way that I think works better for a quick morning. I'm just putting a little more coconut oil into this pan. These do absorb a lot of oil too, so don't get shy about adding oil to your pan. You're not exactly deep frying, but it's a little more oil than saute. So my solution to how to do these is shred them. I'm using my box grater, and I'm just going to quickly shred. And this is another one that you can just make a giant batch in advance. Do 1 or 2 plantains at a time. Make a big batch and reheat them in your toaster oven or in your air fryer right before you eat them. Just quickly shredding up this plantain. You can see it's not very starchy. It's kind of dry. And that's why the green plantain or unripe is a little better for this than the ripe one. And we don't have to double fry it. So there's my nice stack of plantain shreds. And you know how I love my portion scoops. You literally are just going to drop these into this oil. So I'm just going to measure up a level scoop of the shredded plantain and drop it right into the fryer. And it will hold together, it will stick like a little patty. I'm going to use the back of the spoon. Come here, little camera. I'll slide this in since it doesn't want to cooperate. I'm just using the back of the spoon, the back of the portion scoop to smash it down a little bit. And I just love these plantain hash browns. Again, a great thing to use as a toast, to throw some avocado on, to, if you love, we used to call them dipping eggs, sunny side up eggs. This is a great thing to dip into the yolk instead of toast because it has these yummy crispy edges. And you can see they get nice and browned right away. That coconut oil also lends to their delicious flavor. I'm gonna add one more in here. Just smash them down a little bit with the back of the lovely. Wash my hands. Because trying to find unique things that take the boredom out of breakfast is a really important aspect of Whole30. You can see these are already, come with me. Oh goodness, I think I'm gonna have to do this manually. I'm over here, dear. There we go. So I'm just going to give these a flip. You can make them as dark golden as you like. I like them to be just a little golden, but I want those shreds to be cooked all the way through. Once you flip them, they will stick a little bit, so don't move them until they get that nice crust on them, okay? You can see how those are coming along. And then I just hit them with some sea salt and whatever else I like to top them with or serve them with an egg if I am eating eggs. But again, make a big batch of these and keep them in the fridge. They're wonderful to reheat, just like the potato slices are equally as wonderful to reheat. So that's what I have for you today. I have these delicious potato toasts, the wonderful, this is my lunch. I'm gonna have to split it with somebody. That's a huge portion. Sausage gravy with yuca hash, and these delicious tostones that look perfect. Isn't that delicious? So thanks once again for joining me. I'm so glad you could be here. Have a wonderful week. Next week is the last Whole30 prep week because we will be beginning reintroduction. And anyone who's interested in doing a Whole30, I will be coaching again beginning March 1st. Give it a try. It's a great time to start off spring. And thanks again. You know, you can find me on Living Delicious Nutrition on all social media channels. Be sure to like my YouTube channel and like me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram because I'm everywhere. And Tiger Blood, baby. Let's go. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.